Hey everybody, Scott Brown here on day 17 already of Darren LaCroix's 90-day video challenge, live on Facebook. January 3rd already. And today I'm a little bit fired up because I read something today that was one of those epiphany moments, one of those aha moments that reminded me of something that I always knew, but I think I might have forgotten about over time. And that's the whole concept of the life hack. Now, there's probably a lot of you out there that at some point in your life, you've decided, I want to try to do something, but I don't have all the time to try to just learn it from scratch. So I'm going to try to find a way to shorten that time period between beginner and expert. And you look for the ultimate life hack. We've all been guilty of it at some point. But what does a life hack actually do? Does it actually help us get to where we're trying to go? Or is it just a way to make us feel good and to try to buy ourselves a little bit of competency? And I would say that anytime you're trying to hack something, it means you're trying to shorten the distance and you're never going to get the full story. Think about when you were in high school and you had to read those novels that you knew you didn't want to read, but you knew that you had to for your grade. So what did we do? We all went out and we got Cliff's Notes. And we read the Cliff's Notes version of the book, and then when the test came, they asked us the details that weren't in the Cliff's Notes, and we never were able to master the material because we tried to hack our way or cheat our way into learning what we were supposed to learn. And all these life hacks really do the same sort of thing. You can't get better at speaking unless you speak. You can't get better at leading unless you lead. You can't get better at learning unless you try to learn, unless you read. There's nothing you can try to do in life that you can do without investing the time in order to get better. Now, a few years ago, there was a book that came out by Malcolm Gladwell where he talked about the 10,000 hours that people need to put in order to go from beginner to virtuoso. And he talked about people like the Beatles who spent all those hours in clubs in Manchester and in Germany learning their craft and perfecting their performance so that when they got to the Ed Sullivan Show, they were virtuosos. They didn't get there overnight. When they first picked up guitars, they probably sucked. But over time, they learned how to play. They learned how to become the Beatles. And in time, that became who they were. They didn't look for a life hack. They looked for the opportunity to practice. Now, over the past few years, past 6 years actually, I've been involved in Toastmasters, and a lot of you know me from Toastmasters. And I wasn't always a gifted speaker. Actually, I was the exact opposite of a gifted speaker. I was the wallflower standing in the corner just trying to blend into the woodwork because I didn't want anybody to see me ever. I had a horrible stutter, couldn't say the word downstairs, and just wanted to blend in. But in life, I realized that in order to stand out, you can't blend in. And if I wanted to ever do something great, I wasn't going to be able to just hide in the shadows and try to hide in plain sight anymore. So I went to Toastmasters. And one of the things I learned at Toastmasters is you don't get better at speaking just by speaking. You get better at speaking by investing in all of the skills that help you learn how to speak. Things like listening, things like watching yourself without the sound on so you can see all those annoying tics that you do when you're trying to speak. Things like blocking the stage and anchoring in space. Learning how to form a story, and you try to work through those processes that it's not just about speaking, it's about writing, it's about listening, and it's certainly about helping. The more that you teach something, the better you get at that skill. But here's the thing, in Toastmasters, less than 10% of people that ever join Toastmasters ever finish the first manuals. So back in May, Toastmasters launched a brand new educational program, and it was to help people move past where they were and try to talk to a whole new generation of people and become relevant for the future. And it was brilliant. But it makes me wonder, what were we doing for all of those years before, and were we doing a disservice to people by giving them a process that they were able to hack? And here's what I mean. When we first went to the new learning program at Toastmasters, I was working on all of these manuals. Not one or two manuals. I was currently working on all of these manuals, just trying to get better at what I was trying to do, which is become a better speaker, a better communicator, a better orator, a better leader. And all of these manuals started When you first start Toastmasters, you start with the Competent Leadership Manual and the Competent Communicator Manual. So let me ask you this question. If you were to go into your boss tomorrow and say, boss, I deserve a raise because I just became competent. How many of you are going to have a boss that's going to go, oh, thank God. I couldn't wait for the day you became competent. Here's some more money. I don't think that's a company that's going to be in business long. But that's what we were teaching people at Toastmasters. Try to rise to the level of being competent. And once you were, then maybe you could become advanced. And that's where I started with all of these other manuals to try to patchwork together a program that I thought spoke to what I was trying to do. So I was working on the entertaining speaker, and storytelling, speaking to inform, interpretive reading, club leadership, interpretive reading, professional speaker, speaking to inform, because I had a lot of stuff to say and I really wanted to inform people. Interpersonal communication, because when you want to hide in plain sight, maybe it's good to be able to have a conversation with people. The entertaining speaker and specialty speeches. That's just what I was working on when we launched the new program in May. And when Pathways came out, it gave us an ability to move past what we were trying to do. And instead of just going through the manual and checking off our boxes to say, hey, I finished the project, I can move on now, and eventually becoming what I like to call a checkmark DTM, meaning that you've done all of the manuals, but you probably didn't learn anything along the way. You tried to hack the process to get the goal at the end, but you forgot that the journey is way more important than the reward at the end. So we ended up with these people that are what I call checkmark DTMs. They've done the work, they've gotten the medals, but they've never actually learned the process. They've never actually grown the way they're supposed to grow. And over time, that DTM has taken on a couple of other connotations. It's either done the manual, don't time me, or don't tell me. And none of those are people who have hacked anything. If you're looking in 2019 for the ultimate hack, here's a great piece of advice. Stop. Stop looking for the hack and instead invest the time. Invest the time in learning the process and the skill that you need to be successful long term. If you want to be a writer, write. If you want to be a leader, lead. If you want to be a coach, coach. Whatever it is you want to do, spend the time doing that thing and invest the time in learning how to do it well. Because nothing in life that ever happens by accident. We have to do things purposely in order to get to where we're trying to go. So if you spent 2019 thinking of so far, how am I going to hack my way to success? I urge you, stop. Stop what you're doing, take a step back, and figure out what you need in order to grow. I heard Darren LaCroix say on one of his Facebook Lives the other day, anything worth doing well is worth failing at first. It's okay to fail because in failure, that's where we grow. Take the time, fail miserably, fail masterfully, and fail often. And when you do, you're going to find that the ultimate hack was spending the time you needed in order to become great at being the best version of you. So until tomorrow, everyone, have a great night. And let's go out and end the hack and start the process. See you, folks.